In this video, we'll briefly discuss how audio works in Unity and then add audio to our solar system. The basic concept of audio in Unity is fairly simple. You have an audio listener component, which, like a microphone, picks up audio from certain locations in the environment. The audio listener component is often attached to the camera. You only have one audio listener component turned on at any one time in your Unity scene. You also have audio source components attached to game objects within the scene. The audio listener picks up the sound emitted from the audio sources. Unity supports 3D positional sound. That is, the audio listener will pick up the audio from the audio source based on its relative position in 3D space. So if the audio source is to the right of the audio listener, it'll come out of the right speaker. If it's to the left, it'll come out of the left speaker. If it's close to the audio listener, it'll be loud. If it's farther away, it'll be softer. So our objectives for this video will be to add some sound to the sun and add some sound to the earth to create a more rich auditory experience in our solar system. So let's go ahead and look at the main camera. If I select it over here in the inspector, you can see that there's actually an audio listener component attached to that. The audio listener is a pretty simple component. There are no properties. We could just turn it on or off in essence. So we've got the audio listener on the camera, and let's go ahead and add a sound for the sun. So if I go ahead and look at the sounds folder, you can see that I've got a burning sound. So let me select that, and over here in the inspector we can actually preview it. So it basically just sounds like something burning. Once again, there's many different ways of doing things. I always like shortcuts, so we can basically take that burning sound, drag and drop it right onto the sun game object. And if I go back to the sun, we can see now it's got an audio source attached to it. The audio source component actually has several properties, one of those being loop. So we want this sound to continually play. If we don't select loop, it'll basically play the few seconds of the sound clip and then end. But we want it to continually play, so I'm going to go ahead and check that. So let's go ahead and play. So as we're playing, we can adjust things. So another property is the volume. So the volume is set at 1. Let me pull it down to like 0.3 or something like that. So that's like a 30%, 0.3, and we could just barely hear the sun burning, or maybe we can increase that a little bit to 0.5, for example. Now once again, I'm in play mode, so any change that I make is not going to stick. It's just for essentially testing purposes and trying to figure out what I actually want. So now that I have what I want, I can stop it, go in here for volume, and change this to 0.5. So let's also add a sound to the earth. For purpose of example, I can select the earth, I can go to component, move down to audio, and add an audio source. This is the sort of manual way of doing it. Dragging and dropping a sound right on a game object is probably the quicker way. But by doing that, you can see I've added the audio source component. Right now there is no audio clip set, so I need to select my audio clip. So I can click the little selection target thing here, and this will show all of the possible audio clips that we've got. I'm going to go ahead and select the drone hum sound effect and set that as the audio clip for this audio source. And let's go ahead and hit play. So you could, somewhat tell as the Earth gets closer, the sound gets louder, and as it gets farther away, it gets quieter, since the Earth is actually moving closer and farther from our camera. The other thing I forgot to do is turn on looping, so you can see that the sound stopped. So let's go ahead and stop that, turn on looping, and let's scroll down a little bit. There's 3D sound settings down here. Let me go ahead and press play, and we can just play with some of these things as we play and kind of get what we want once again. So one thing is they have a Doppler level, which basically kind of creates a Doppler effect on the sound as it's moving. Right now that's set at 1. I could turn off the Doppler effect if I want to. The next thing is a volume roll-off, and it's sort of visually represented here. The minimum distance is 1 meter, so if I'm closer than 1 meter, I'm not going to hear the sound. The maximum distance is 500. So let me adjust this a bit. Let me go down to, let's say, 5. And now our little diagram here really kind of shows what's going on, and it shows the sort of respective volume of the sound as it gets closer to the audio listener and as it goes farther away. I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier. The 1 meter, it basically peaks out. So from 1 down to 0 would be maximum volume. So if I adjust this up, you're going to see maximum volume, as it gets, a little bit farther away. So let's go back down to 1. And after 5 meters, it'll basically drop down to no sound. So maybe something like 10 meters is a pretty good setting. Now this graph down here, you can actually drag and drop and tweak however you want it to create a sort of custom roll-off. But once again, I'm in play mode, so everything I'm doing is not going to stick. So if I stop, I can then go back and play with this and make it stick. So once again, I could turn off the Doppler. I can set the maximum distance to 10 meters rather than 500 meters. So one thing that we can do, just as sake of example, is go ahead and let's press play again, and let's go back to the main camera. And with the audio listener component, if I just turn it off, you can see, I basically turned off the sound. The sound still exists, it's still playing, I'm just not listening to it. It's sort of the tree falling in the forest concept. If I turn the audio listener back on, once again, I'm listening. So, this I'm doing in the editor. Obviously, in an actual game, we could programmatically control the audio listener to turn on or turn off, or switch from one audio listener to another if we had, for say, multiple cameras, like in a racing game where maybe we've got a camera in the car and a chase camera and that sort of thing. So in any case, we've got audio in our game now, and our overall simulation is really starting to come together. So what's next? In the next video, we'll discuss a bit more about the camera game object.